Jupiter moving into Cancer on June 9th is going to be a very healing transit. I talked about this already in a deep dive that I did about Jupiter and Cancer, and I'll probably do more deep dives in the future. For this video, I want to talk about how this exalted Jupiter is going to be affecting your sun, moon, rising. Jupiter rules prosperity, luck, blessing, joy, fortune. But as we discovered in the first video that I did, he also rules indulgence and excess and a sort of escapism, as in finding joy and optimism and running towards that without actually looking at, especially with Jupiter in Cancer, maybe some emotional wounding that needs to be attended to. And so Jupiter in Cancer is almost like a call back inward before we can expand out into greatness and have that prosperity and luck. This is a quiet placement with Jupiter in Cancer, but it is a exalted placement. So it is definitely a place where Jupiter likes to be. And so when we go through the all signs, we're going to talk about this idea that Jupiter can bring this goodness into your life and how he will ask of you to take a leap of faith, because that's what Jupiter is so much about. That's where the prosperity and goodness comes from, is that Jupiterian people tend to be ones who can take the leap when others don't. And oftentimes this is very fruitful, and other times their vision was not grounded. With this transit, almost immediately, pretty much when Jupiter goes into Cancer, it's going to start a square with Saturn. This is a third Saturn-Jupiter square in the series of Jupiter-Saturn squares that we've had since August of 2024. And this is kind of we're about a fourth way through of this Jupiter-Saturn cycle. This is going to be kind of a tense aspect, but Saturn can bring in a lot of realism. So depending on how far you are on your Jupiterian vision or your Jupiterian mission or purpose, right? We talk about Jupiter being purpose and meaning and truth that we find in the world. Saturn may or may not be kind of pulling you back a little bit and giving you that much needed structure, that much needed foundation, responsibility, and vice versa. If you're kind of just not really looking up to see what you're working for, Jupiter is going to really push you to expand your vision and have a bigger vision and to look up and see beyond what you're currently building to make sure that you're building for something. So when we go through the all signs, these are the kind of things that I'm going to be asking around where this is happening in your life and how you can best work with this energy to get the most out of Jupiter in a positive way and not in a self-destructive way in which we're running away from our emotions. And Cancer is comfort. So we may be wanting to kind of retreat into a place of safety. And our safety area, our comfort zone, actually may be keeping us from having that Jupiterian expansion that we're desiring. So it's this balancing of like, how do I maintain safety internally and emotionally so that I can go and expand in ways that my spirit is asking for? And like I said in the first video, this may mean that the places where you were once made to shrink are actually going to be the places that you need to look at in order to expand. And in other ways, it may be that on a more negative note, that we could be retreating into a place of safety and not taking any of these Jupiterian leaps of faith, which with Jupiter and Cancer may be really more in the emotional realm. But we'll talk about the signs and the houses, which will give you a little bit more clue about where this could be happening for you. I think it's interesting to just think about, where can I take a leap of faith here? So if you're interested in a deep dive on that, I'll have that link to that video in the description below. And let's get into the all signs. For my Aries, sun, moon, and rising, you guys have Jupiter moving into your fourth house. This is the house of emotional foundations, roots, your family, your mom or the nurturing parent that you had growing up. It's your early childhood, your current home life, and your physical home. So when I see Jupiter coming here, there's something that wants to expand here. There's some prosperity coming to your home life. This could look like moving into a better home, moving into a situation in which your home life just feels more positive. It feels like it's expansive and there's more optimism with your home life. So if you've been having issues around your home life or issues with your relationships with your family, this could be a really, really beautiful positive influence for that. Now, on a more psychological or soul-centered level, this can look like you really feeling just more optimistic in general, right? Your emotional foundations are coming through in a way that is just more full of joy and optimism and visionary. Now, the thing that we want to watch for here is that are we kind of overlooking some deep emotional wounding, and are we just kind of putting rose-colored glasses on to feel optimistic because, you know, Mars was here for an extended period of time, and I have a bunch of videos about Mars and Cancer. But during that time, there could have been a lot of strife, and there could have been a lot of fighting or war within your family life, your home life, or just inside yourself emotionally, right? Because the fourth house is your emotional foundation. And now Jupiter is coming in here, and depending on the kind of work that you did, Jupiter could be bringing you a lot more joy and expansion there. And if you overlooked a lot of deep emotional turmoil that needed to be seen, these deep emotional wounds that needed to be seen, then Jupiter may kind of actually help you run away even further. And that's going to ultimately hold you back from doing this thing that you're meant to do here. And what I see with Saturn coming in immediately, and the exact square will be on June 15th. So Saturn coming in and squaring this Jupiter from your first house. So Saturn here is trying to build you into an authority figure. So what it's saying is like, do you have a propensity to kind of ignore your emotional world? And with Saturn here in your first, he's not going to let you build this new identity without this emotional expansion through looking at your deep emotional wounds, not bypassing them, but really looking at them and healing them. And from there, Saturn will help integrate this into a much deeper understanding of who you're meant to be, your identity in the world, what you're here to do. And like I said in my first Jupiter and Cancer video, for you, this may look like something that you're not really able to quite understand yet. And in 2030, when we have that Jupiter-Saturn opposition and it comes to a culmination from the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in 2020, you'll have an idea of why exactly this is necessary. But for this cycle that we're currently talking about, I see this beautiful merging of you and your sense of authority in the world, and you taking responsibility and ownership over your life by really looking at your emotional self and expanding upon that in a healthy way to bring more optimism and prosperity and luck and fortune into your life. Let me know how that resonates for you guys. If you'd like to go deeper in a one-on-one session, I'll have the link below, and I'll see you next time. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have Jupiter going into your third house on June 9th, and he'll stay there till June 30th of 2026. The third house is your local environment. So your immediate surroundings, your bubble that you live in. This is a house of learning, communication, skills, speaking, your mindset and thoughts. This is your neighbors, siblings, and cousins as well. There is going to be joy and positivity and expansion here, prosperity coming through to you in your immediate surroundings. So this could look like your day-to-day life just is infused with more positivity, with more joy, more optimism. You're entering kind of a new phase of being, feeling blessed by your surroundings rather than, you know, with Mars being in this part of your chart for several months from September of last year until April of this year, I believe. I did lots of videos on Mars and Cancer, but it was in there for a long time. So there was a lot of strife in your immediate surroundings, maybe a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments. And now over this next year, there is more joy and expansion coming through here, prosperity. Although this is going to require a leap of faith from you, right? Like I talked about this in the first Jupiter and Cancer video I talked about, and in the beginning of this video too, that Jupiter requires a leap of faith. It's not just going to always give you exactly what you want, and he's not always consistent. So, you know, it's not like every single day it's going to feel the same, but he's going to inspire you in these ways that is going to ask you to also take that inspiration and have a leap of faith. So this could even look like your relationship with your neighbors, siblings, and cousins improving or expanding. Now, the thing that I want to say about this though, and even your mindset just becoming more positive, the way you speak becoming more positive. The thing with Jupiter though, is that it can also bring a sense of bypassing, like spiritual bypassing in a sense, by being super optimistic and joyful and expansive because you don't want to look at like some core issues that are happening. So for you, I think it's really important to make sure that you are not bypassing any sort of emotional wounding around neighbors, siblings, cousins, or your mindset and why it is that it kind of created some sort of a situation that maybe Mars in the third house brought to your attention, like a lot of fighting, a lot of strife, and seeing what those wounds are with, and in doing that, it's almost like maintaining this sort of balance, right? Because you've probably done a lot of that with Mars in the third for so long, but now Jupiter is saying like, hey, we're going to expand here. We're going to have more prosperity here, more luck, more fortune. Maybe you're going to want to like learn new skills too. This is a house of learning skills. So, and with Saturn in your 12th squaring this, well, let me finish about the learning new skills. So it could be that you're desiring to, take on new courses so that you can polish up your skills. And these could be, things that will really help expand your life. Now, Saturn's coming through in the 12th house and he's squaring this. And this is the third of the Jupiter-Saturn squares. I talked about this more in the first part of my video. But Saturn in the 12th is asking you to take full responsibility over your subconscious and your self-undoing patterns. This is kind of what I was saying, like, with you guys, is that Saturn's going to make sure that if there's anything in the subconscious that has helped you create that difficult environment that you've been in possibly for several months previous to this transit, for many, many months actually, Saturn's not going to let you run away. And this may require for a lot of you guys a period of solitude to try to figure out what is going on in your subconscious, because Saturn in the 12th can kind of, anything in the 12th house, we require to be kind of in a meditative state or in solitude or in healing retreats in order to be able to really get in touch with that. And yeah, I just feel like Saturn's not going to let you get away with any self-undoing behaviors that have created the current mindset that you're in. So Saturn's not going to let you spiritually bypass this. And I think that the way you guys would feel it more than anything is that if you find yourself feeling extremely isolated, and not feeling like you're expanding your third house things, then it's probably a sign that Saturn is trying to kind of pull you back and say, hey, there's something in your subconscious. This is a pattern that you're working with. So don't get too disappointed here if you're not feeling that expansiveness of Jupiter and Cancer right away. Like I said, Jupiter is inconsistent anyway, and with this Saturnian influence for really June, I would say all of June, or most of June, it may have you just be a little more internal so you can deal with those things. So Taurus, let me know how this resonates for you. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to go deeper in a one-on-one session with me, I'll have the link below. I'll see you guys next time. My beautiful Gemini sun, moon, and rising. You guys have Jupiter going into your second house of money, income, values, self-worth, self-esteem, resources. So, I mean, clearly the first thing I think of is an increase in money. An increase in finances is coming for you guys, and this is going to be very fruitful. An increase in self-worth. You know, the thing is about money is that it's energy and it's a commodity. It's a resource that can present value of something, right? We know that if something is, well, not always, but a lot of times when something is more pricey, it just means that we seek or perceive more inherent value in it. So it's just a reflection of worth oftentimes, but not always, right? So the reason why I'm even bringing that up is that instead of just focusing on like, oh my God, I want more money and Jupiter's going to bring that to me, It's more focusing on how is Jupiter going to increase my values and my sense of self-worth, because Jupiter has just come out of your first house, right? And this can kind of give you this inflated sense, and not inflated in a bad way, just inflated sense of, oh wow, like I think I'm actually meant to do something special here, or I really want to take this risk. I want to take this leap of faith and in my identity and who I am and in my life, right? Like maybe for a lot of you guys, there was a new beginning that happened, because for the first house is the house of beginnings. And now Jupiter is going to move into the second house and say, okay, what we've learned now about ourselves and taken this leap of faith and had this joy and prosperity, now we're moving it into make sure that we can ground it, because the second house is a grounded house. It's a Taurus house naturally. We're going to ground it in our sense of self-worth so that we can really start to embody our values of this new identity that we've created. And this can look like increased money. So Mars was here for an extended period of time from 2024 to April 2025. I think it was like September to April, on and off. I talked about it a lot over that time. And so if you were working really hard on creating some sort of financial stability for yourself, an income stream, and Mars in the second house likes autonomy. So a lot of times this can look like working for yourself. So maybe you were doing something on the side or working on your business. Jupiter is going to give you the rewards from that. Now, at first, when Jupiter first moves here, it's going to be initiating the third Saturn-Jupiter square, which I talked about more in my first video on Jupiter and Cancer in the link in the description. But when it first moves into Cancer, it's going to feel the presence of Saturn in kind of a tense way, right? The square brings a little bit of tension. And so how we can best work with this is to not get super disappointed if all of what I'm saying right now doesn't happen right away. Because what Saturn is doing in your 11th house, it's asking, okay, are you working on your social networks? If you're not, and is what you're currently working on, do you have a correct vision for it, right? Because the 11th house is your vision for the future. So Saturn's asking you to like really ground down before the money starts coming in. It's really important for you to ground down in what your vision is for the future. And who are the people who are going to get you there? And are you working on acquiring this social network, these friends that are going to help you achieve your dreams? And are you working hard on building this vision? This is the thing about the 11th house. It's yes, it's vision, it's your hopes and dreams, but with Saturn there, he's wanting you to get really clear and create some foundations and take responsibility for that part of your life. So it may look like you're actually like sitting down, and especially if you're in like running your own business or even a side business, sitting down and really writing out like the structure of your long-term vision and how what you're doing now is going to help you achieve that. And you're going to be doing, and by doing that, that's what's really going to help Jupiter kind of expand what you are, the money you're making. So, and once again with Jupiter and Cancer, it's like, this could be that you, on the negative side of Jupiter and Cancer, that you're bypassing a lot of self-worth and self-esteem issues in order to make a ton of money and not really valuing yourself, but rather valuing your business or saying like, I just need to make a lot of money right now. And in that sense, you're kind of running away from a lot of core issues of the second house. And Jupiter and Cancer can still be, full of prosperity even if you do that, but I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much, and I think it'll be less likely. So don't bypass the inner work that's required of you to build emotional foundations around security. Like really go in there and see like, is there like scarcity mindset that is there a scarcity mindset that I'm working with that's keeping me from reaching or achieving my full potential? And for you guys specifically, I do think this is very much career oriented. It also could be relationship oriented since Jupiter rules your 7th house. So Gemini, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. If you'd like to go deeper with me, I do offer one-on-one sessions in the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Jupiter is going into your first house. Your first house is your attitude. It's your perspective on life. It's your identity, your appearance, and your physical body, your health. It's a house of new beginnings. So prosperous, joyful, optimistic, expansive, purposeful, sense of new beginning or identity. Wonderful, 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 right? Yes. And it also comes with the sense that if you are trying to bypass any sort of foundational work that you need to do around your identity, your attitude, your perspective on life, and just become this super expansive, hopeful person. I talk about this more in the first video that I did on Jupiter and Cancer. I'll have that link in the description below, because I think it's really important for us to understand what Jupiter can do sometimes with this excess and indulgence, right? And Jupiter being the first and Cancer ruling comfort and food in some ways, like comfort foods really. It could be that like if you're not ready to expand on a spiritual and purpose level, you could be expanding in a way that could be unhealthy within your body. And I mean that through seeking comfort in food rather than, seeking comfort in something other than your own sense of emotional foundation. You could also be expanding by like wanting to work out and getting, more buff and big that way. And that would probably be a different expression than what I just mentioned. But I find that with Cancer, as someone who has Venus in Cancer, there is a sense of like comfort and safety oftentimes when we're emotionally overwhelmed in food. Or is that just me? I don't know. I don't think so, because I've been studying astrology for a long time. Anyway, this is a really beautiful transit, and it's setting up the foundations for this new beginning, right? Because it's going to go from your first house now all the way to your 12th house over the next 12 years. And so it's really an expansive, beautiful time. Now, Saturn is in your 10th house, wanting to make you an authority figure in your career and legacy and reputation. And so if there is any sense that you are trying to kind of bypass responsibility over your career and your legacy, Jupiter is going to make you kind of maybe feel less of that expansion, less of that prosperity. Because Saturn in the 10th is saying, hey, we're trying to carve you into an authority figure and to put you in a position of responsibility when it comes to your career and your legacy and your life direction publicly. And so if you're not taking responsibility over that, you're going to kind of feel this disappointment in like, well, why is nothing that Jazz said happening to me? With the Jupiter expansion. And like I said in the first video I did, that Jupiter is very inconsistent. So it's not like for a whole year, every single day, you're just super positively inspired. I would hope that for you, but I don't want you to expect that and then be disappointed, especially for the first, for most of May or most of June, once Jupiter moves into Cancer, it's going to be in this tense aspect with Saturn. So Saturn wants you to take responsibility before you start building this new identity. And before you have this prosperity and luck and joy and meaning and purpose, right? Jupiter is so much about finding meaning and purpose. So maybe through finding meaning and purpose in yourself, you are then able to put in the work for your career and legacy, and so they can kind of help each other out. And I talk more about this, like I said, in that first video on how those two interplay with each other. But this is a really important, thing for you guys, because you guys are one of the cardinal signs, right? So it's going to be affecting you guys more prominently because it's in your sign. Is there anything else I want to say about Saturn being in the 10th? Oh, I do want to say that Jupiter for you guys rules your 6th and 9th house. So I do definitely feel like there is some you're wanting to actually like be of service in some way. For some of you guys, this could look like teaching others or maybe even traveling more. When the 9th house ruler comes in the first, there is a desire to expand your horizons. And then the 6th house ruler coming into the first can also bring some more responsibility and a desire to serve others. So from some of you guys, this could be serving others through teaching, because the 9th house is a teaching house. And that's on top of everything else that I mentioned. So Cancers, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. If you'd like to go deeper in a one-on-one session with me, I'll have the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. My lovely Leo Sun, Moon, and Rising. Jupiter is moving into your 12th house. The 12th house is about solitude, meditation, spirituality, long distance travel, or overseas travel. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs and your self-undoing patterns. Now, Mars was here for a really long extended period of time, right? From September 2024 till April of 2024 or 2025. And you probably were doing a lot of subconscious work, a lot of self-limiting work. And the 12th house was asking you to kind of step into a sense of the unknown. And with Jupiter here, if you haven't taken a leap of faith, Jupiter here is going to be asking you to do just that over the next year, from June 9th to June 30th, 2026. When Jupiter asks this of us, and especially as it first moves into your 12th house, Saturn is going to be squaring it. So for most of June, we're going to be feeling the Saturn square. This is a third in the three series of Jupiter-Saturn squares. I talk about this more in the first video I did with Jupiter and Cancer, so make sure you check that out. I have the link in the description below for that. This Saturn is coming from your 9th house. So it's really saying that there could be, if you're feeling really stuck in your life right now, which Mars has been in your sign since April and will be leaving June 17th. So Mars is really like wanting you to take action on a new beginning in your life, but maybe you're scared. Maybe like Mars in the 12th brought up a lot of fears. And now Jupiter moving in here is like, hey, we're going to support you walking into the unknown. That's pretty much what I see. Jupiter in the 12th is like a guardian angel, okay? It may not seem like this massive big shift in the external world, because, and it can definitely be that, right? Because for you guys, Jupiter rules your 5th and your 8th house. And so it could be that you're like expressing yourself in a new way, or, you know, something's changed. We'll talk about that in a second, but it could be in the external world. But the emphasis is on you trusting yourself enough and feeling guided by something bigger than yourself to take this leap of faith. And that's where Jupiter will bring his expansion, his prosperity, his luck, his joy, his fortune, is in your spiritual realm, your subconscious, because you've done so much work there with Mars. But Saturn in the 9th is saying, you know, number one, it could be a lot of things. Like, it could be that you're being asked to take school seriously, or like higher education. It could be that there is something being asked of you to step into a more like a leadership role or a mentorship role, or a teacher, something like that. And you're feeling scared to do that because of the 12th house. And with the 9th house for me is, I mean, this is Jupiter's house, right? So it's like, this is about finding truth, purpose, and meaning in your life. And Jupiter in the 12th and Saturn in the 9th is going to really make you examine, what do you believe about life? What do you believe the purpose of life is? And how are you actually living that? How are you embodying that? Because Jupiter in the 12th is like, are you willing to go into the unknown because you find truth and meaning and purpose in this area of life? And whatever that may be for you, right? It's just like trying to align that. So if Jupiter is not giving you that joy, prosperity in your subconscious, it's probably because there's something in the 9th house with Saturn there that is kind of trying to pull you back and say, okay, what do you believe about life? Like, do you believe that if you walk into the unknown that you're not going to be supported? Do you believe that if you step into a leadership or mentorship role that you're not going to be supported, especially from June 9th to June 17th when you've got Mars in your 1st house? This is like, this is really asking you guys to take a leap of faith, even if it does not feel comfortable, because you believe something in something greater than yourself. Honestly, that's the way I see it. Now, like I said, Jupiter rules your 5th and your 8th house. So there may be a dissolving or some sort of a change happening with your self-expression, with your creative hobbies. The 5th house can also be a lot of like creative ventures, like business ventures. And then your 8th house is shared resources, right? So there could be one form of shared resources dissolving in order for a new one to come up that is more aligned. I feel like this is why Jupiter in the 12th is such a huge leap of faith for you guys, because you can sense that whatever is happening currently is going to dissolve not just the way you show up in the world, but maybe some financial ventures, or also some like the way that you show up intimately within partnerships. The give and take within relationships will have to change with this leap of faith, whatever it is. And I do believe that it's in some way stepping into a more leadership, mentorship, teacher role of authority within your own life and really taking accountability for that. So Leos, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. And if you'd like to go deeper with me, I do offer one-on-one sessions. I'll have the link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time. My Virgo sun, moon, and rising. You guys have Jupiter going into your 11th house. Jupiter loves being in the 11th house, so it's amazing. The 11th house is about your friendship groups, your social networks. It's your hopes, dreams, and visions for the future. It is a house of technology as well. So some of you guys could be increasing your presence in the online space. Maybe that's something that you have been wanting to do. It definitely feels like it could be viable for you during this time. You also could be just finding more joy in your friendships and your social networks. Maybe this was an area that maybe you felt unsupported, or you felt like you didn't know where you actually belonged, because Mars was in this part of your chart from September of 2024 to April of 2025 on and off. And Mars here was maybe cutting out certain friendship groups, cutting out certain benefactors, cutting out certain hopes and dreams for your future, and maybe made you feel like you didn't belong someplace. And over this next year, from June 9th of this year to June 30th of next year, Jupiter is wanting to bless you guys and bring this joy and prosperity and meaning into your social networks, into your friendship groups, into the organizations that you belong to, any humanitarian causes that you are a part of, and also really broadening and expanding and bringing more purpose to your dreams and visions and hopes for the future. Now, almost immediately, it is immediately, Saturn's going to be squaring this from your guys' 8th house. So I feel like there's some financial issues for you guys, maybe. Like you're wondering how you're going to be supporting this hope, dream, vision for the future. It could also be like shared finances that are kind of in the way right now, or you're feeling like you're not being supported financially in some way. Saturn in the 8th can definitely make you feel like you have to work really hard in order to bring some balance to the give and take in your relationships. And that's financially and emotionally, right? So the 8th house is a very emotional and transformative house and psychological house. So Saturn going through here can make you feel like you're kind of doing this alone. And this is a thing that you've got to figure out, and that like no matter how much support you seek out, it doesn't feel like it's really going to work. And you guys have a few years to kind of feel this with Saturn, because he's just visiting your 8th house. But I think you're going to feel a little bit of what I'm saying, because as a Leo rising, I kind of go through all of these transits before you guys, and it's always different, right? Because it's a different planet, you guys are a different sign. But I can tell you the themes of Saturn in the 8th are just kind of what I mentioned. And so you may be feeling like, but Jazz, you're saying I have all this expansion and I'm going to find this sense of belonging somewhere in the world with Jupiter in the 11th and feel like people are supporting me. And I don't feel that way. Well, this is Saturn's influence from the 8th. And Saturn likes to help teach us through pain and suffering sometimes in order to find more alignment and responsibility and take accountability. So this is a third Jupiter-Saturn square. I talked about this cycle, this 20-year cycle, more in the first video I did about Jupiter and Saturn. If you haven't checked that out already, I'll have that in the link in description below. So if you're feeling limited, especially in the month of June when this first starts, know that there is a reason for that. But Jupiter ultimately is going to ask you to take some sort of leap of faith. That's how he brings purpose and truth and meaning into this part of our life. So when it comes to the 11th house things that I mentioned about finding your benefactors, finding the people who support you, finding communities in which you belong in, or if you are even wanting to increase your online presence, it's going to ask you to take a leap of faith. And this is where Jupiter brings his biggest gifts, is when you take a leap of faith, while also, because of Saturn's influence, not discounting the financial risks, not discounting the emotional risks that you would take, the deep emotional connections that you would don't want to lose because of this risk that you're taking. So this is actually a beautiful synergy of energy, in my opinion, because it really helps ground our vision. And I'm really excited to see what you guys do with that. Now, For you guys, Jupiter rules your 7th and your 10th. So definitely feel like for a lot of you guys, there is prosperity to come from your career. Number one, because the 11th house also is money from your career. So definitely something to do with career. Some of you guys could be honestly like desiring to work with people one-on-one in your career and bringing that to the internet. That's very specific. So obviously this is a general reading, but I could definitely see that with this energy of the 7th house going into the 11th. You could be, just finding more. I could also see too that like you meet somebody who is able to, because the 7th house ruler, you meet somebody who is able to invite you into a community that's more belonging, that you feel like is your community. So what I would say is don't be shy. Okay, I know I'm talking about Virgo people here, which sometimes can be a little bit on the shyer side or more introverted. Not always, definitely not always. Put yourself out there. You know, even if it's just in small ways, to meet people who can introduce you into the right communities for you. So Virgo, let me know, or Virgos, I hope there's more than one, but even if there's just one watching, I'm very grateful for that. Let me know how this resonates. If you can please like and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And if you'd like to go deeper with me in a one-on-one session, I do offer those. I'll have the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. For my Libra sun, moon, and rising, you guys have Jupiter going into your 10th, the top of your chart. This is about your career, legacy, your social reputation, your social status. This is about your service that you want to give to the world as well. Authority figures too, bosses. This is amazing. And because you guys are a cardinal sign, this is going to be really strong for you guys. And because of that, it's also squaring your guys' sign, right? So it's definitely going to be pushing you outside of your comfort zone. And Jupiter in the 10th can really increase your visibility in the world, and in a really positive and expansive way, right? So we're talking about Jupiter here. I talked about this a lot more in the first video I did about what Jupiter is and, you know, how it can bring us prosperity and joy and purpose and meaning, and also how it can push us into excess or indulgence. So definitely listen to that to get a more holistic understanding, but it's going to be pushing you to get out of your comfort zone and take a leap of faith when it comes to your reputation, your career. A lot of times this is during this Jupiter in the 10th, a lot of people do take a leap of faith when it comes to their career. So this could look like retiring. This could look like getting a promotion. This could look like completely leaving a career and going into something else, because you know that you don't, if this is more possible, if you're not finding joy, purpose, and fulfillment in your current career field. And it's giving you the opportunity to do that, but you're going to have to take a risk. And that's kind of where Jupiter brings his blessings, is when you do take that leap of faith. Now for you guys, Saturn is opposing you in your 7th house. So Saturn in the 7th is going to bring tests and ultimately wants you to take complete responsibility over your relationships, your one-on-one relationships, your contracts that you're a part of, your business partnerships, your friendships, things like that. And what I see with this Jupiter-Saturn square happening for you guys, which is the 3rd Jupiter-Saturn square in the series of a 20-year cycle, I talk about this in the Jupiter and Cancer video as well. This Jupiter-Saturn square is going to be asking you guys to weigh your relationships and how you relate to other people and how you take responsibility over that with where you're actually wanting to go in life. So for a lot of you guys, and obviously this is a general reading, but I could just really see that Saturn is you guys wanting to take responsibility over your relationships. And for some of you guys, this could even be like that you're wanting to work one-on-one with people, and that's kind of what you want your career to be, but there's something that's holding you back in your one-on-one relationships. And as Libras, I always talk about this. It's like, it's for you guys, your life is about other people, right? Like it's not that being born as a Libra sun, moon, rising, there is this element of the other. And so you're really, really learning how you can take responsibility over your own emotional input of your relationships. And I have a Saturn in Aries video too, so definitely check that out, because this is gonna be a big one for you guys. Saturn in the 7th is always an interesting and very, very important part of the journey. Now for you guys, Jupiter rules your 3rd and your 6th house. So there's a lot of how are your day-to-day habits, your daily routines contributing to your success financially and in your career? So what are you doing day to day that is creating the life that you ultimately want to have, the career, the reputation that you ultimately want to have? And is that something that you're willing to take a leap of faith on in order to create something bigger than yourself? Your 6th house going into the 10th too makes me feel like there is either some sort of work that you've been working on that you're wanting to make more public. So like maybe you've been working on something diligently and now you're ready to take it more public. And then your 3rd house ruler going into 10th is maybe you've been learning skills, or maybe Jupiter is saying, hey, in order to have this like 10th house career, this expansion in your career and your legacy and your reputation, you need more skills. You need to be learning those skills. And so for you guys especially, I think that this is a really important time to find a mentor. When Saturn's in your 7th, it's a really important time to have a kind of Saturnian person help guide you in this process. Once again, especially for you guys, because so much of your life is about other people. But when Saturn's in the 7th, you kind of, if you don't have that person who can be that Saturnian, loving Saturnian figure for you, sometimes they can show up as more harsh Saturnian people coming into your life. So just something to think about. And this could be someone who can like help you with your business and your social reputation and all those 10th house things as well. So Libras, let me know how this resonates for you guys. And if you like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have a link in the description for that below. And I'll see you guys next time. For my Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, Jupiter is moving into your guys' 9th house. And this is beautiful because it's a trine to you guys. It's a fellow water sign. And the 9th house is already an expansive house because it's naturally a Jupiterian house. So there's going to be expansion about your beliefs, maybe increasing travel as well, long distance travel and experiencing new cultures. So it doesn't have to be super long distance, but somewhere where it's different than you and you have to experience different culture. Expanding your consciousness, maybe even going back to school or desiring to learn or get a mentor, right? The 9th house is about mentorship, or maybe you're wanting to become a mentor. For some reason, I feel like for a lot of you guys, it's about getting some sort of a mentor. That's just an intuitive feeling I'm getting rather than you becoming one, but although you can totally become one too. Now, Mars was here from the September of 2024 until April of 2025 on and off. So maybe there was a lot of difficulty in your belief system. Maybe you were like struggling to find the beliefs and the philosophy and purpose in life that made your life matter, or maybe you had to cut certain ones out because Mars is one of your rulers, right? So maybe there was like a lot of strife around what do I believe? What makes my life meaningful? And how do I find purpose and truth in my life? Maybe your old belief systems just weren't working out. And now Jupiter comes in here and really just makes this process a lot more joyful, optimistic, expansive. Now, in the first video I did about Jupiter and Cancer, I talked about how there can be some pitfalls to Jupiter and kind of like bypassing some core emotional wounding around your 9th house things instead just kind of like becoming really bombastic about your beliefs. That's one thing I could see with Jupiter in the 9th is like now you find a new belief system or you have this new expansive belief and you become like a zealot about it. Like you're just telling everybody about it and you're kind of becoming a preacher sort of person. So that can sometimes be a more negative thing with Jupiter in the 9th, but otherwise the 9th house is our beliefs. So like Jupiter coming in here can really make us believe that there is good in the world, to bring back faith in the world in that way. Now, almost immediately, I keep saying almost immediately, it's going to be squared by Saturn. And this is the 3rd of the Jupiter-Saturn squares. And I talked about this more in the first Jupiter and Cancer video about this 20-year cycle that we're in. And we're kind of just like a 4th of the way through it right now. So still kind of unclear what Jupiter and Saturn are trying to do overall in our lives, but that will be made clear in time, okay? But Saturn's in your guys' 6th. So Saturn in the 6th is saying like, are you working hard toward whatever this 9th house thing is? So maybe for some of you guys, it's going back to school. Maybe for some of you guys, it's traveling. Maybe for some of you guys, it's, like I said, getting a mentor, or this is also a house of publishing. So maybe you're wanting to publish something out in the world, or yeah, something about legal cases as well. So maybe you're trying to do all this, and Saturn is in your sixth saying, okay, well, we've got to work really hard and take a lot of responsibility about any illnesses that we have, or any daily work that we're doing and the responsibilities we're undertaking in order to get that Jupiter in the ninth house expansion. So for a lot of you guys, this could look like, you're wanting to expand your worldview, go travel, but Saturn in the sixth is pulling you back, and your work life is like not keeping you from doing that. Or there's some sort of a conflict that's happening, because the sixth house is conflict. So maybe there's some sort of conflict that you have responsibility for that's keeping you from enjoying what you want in the world in this like positive way, and traveling, and in the pursuit of knowledge and all of these things. So know that, especially for the month of June, there may be this kind of, depending on where you're at, like I said, I talked about this more, I give more variations of this in that first video that I did. But depending on where you're at in your journey, it could feel like Saturn's kind of like dampening your desire to like expand. And you're like, what the heck, Saturn? And it's like, well, you've got some responsibilities to take care of. And maybe you're getting too ahead of yourself. And it could be the opposite way. Like maybe you're, Saturn is kind of pulling you down to work, and Jupiter is like, hey, like there's a lot of world out here to discover. Like, what are we doing just constantly working and doing nothing but work, and feeling this like overburden of responsibility? For you guys, Jupiter naturally rules your second and fifth house. So going into the ninth is like, maybe you're feeling more optimistic about your creative hobbies and creative businesses, creative endeavors, because the fifth house is very much about creativity. And the second house ruler going into ninth too makes me feel like you're becoming more optimistic and positive about your finances, about your self-worth, your self-value over this year from June 2025 to June 2026. You may be feeling like there is just more expansion around your money, yes, but really more about your sense of self. You could also be putting a lot of money towards learning and knowledge, and you could be spending money on traveling as well. The second house ruler going into the ninth is like, you're willing to put more money into expanding your knowledge, whether that's through reading and mentorship or through travel. And then, yeah, making your creative endeavors are, maybe for a lot of you guys, I could see this as like you're publishing a creative work. Whatever field of creativity that you are in, it could definitely feel like something like that over this next year, that you're publishing it and it's becoming, or you're teaching about something that that's a creative hobby, or that's you're really passionate about and that you love. It's like this sense that you're becoming some sort of so earlier I said I have this sense that you guys are needing mentorship, and I could see that, but now I'm sensing that also there is, for some of you guys, because this is a general reading, right? Like I'm reading for thousands of people. There is a sense that you could be teaching about something that you love. So maybe something that was just for you before, that was a creative thing for you, is now you're becoming like a kind of an authority on it, and you're mentoring other people too. Wow, that seems exciting. So let me know how this resonates for you guys, my Scorpios. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. My Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Your ruler, Jupiter, is moving signs. So obviously this is going to affect you and Pisces the most, because Jupiter is your guys' ruler. Well, I wouldn't say the most, but you're one of the ones who's more impacted by this. Jupiter is moving into your 8th house. So for a lot of you guys, there is a lot of expansion, prosperity, joy coming to you in your close, deep, intimate partnerships in a way possibly that you haven't felt for a really long time, really like 12 years, right? Because that's Jupiter's cycle. There is a possibility of this, but there is a sense that with Jupiter, and you guys are familiar with this, and especially for you guys, I highly recommend you listen to the Jupiter and Cancer video I did previous to this, because I go in depth about Jupiter and Cancer, and because it's your ruler, that's important for you guys to understand. That Jupiter going into the 8th requires some sort of a leap of faith to get the results. So for you guys, it could be like taking a leap of faith in a deep, committed partnership, and this could mean like getting married, right? If that is something that is going to be more prosperous for you, or if it's going to be more prosperous for you to do the opposite and get divorced, and that will bring more meaning and truth and purpose into your life, then that could be happening as well. But it's almost like it's something that you're desiring. So whichever one it is, it's something that you desire because you see how it could be fruitful and helpful for you, not just in terms of intimate relational, an intimate emotional partnership, but also financially. Like you could realize that, oh, this could actually help me financially. Jupiter in the 8th also brings, okay, well, I didn't really talk about the 8th house that much. So it's, shared resources, it's deep, intimate bonds, it's transformation, it's the give and take within relationships, it's psychological healing, the occult mysteries, addictions. So for a lot of you guys, this could be like shining a light on some addictive patterns. I would also say, because of what I talked about with this excess and indulgence, for some of you guys, if there's some core wounding around intimate partnerships and shared resources, Jupiter's not going to let you spiritually bypass here. And if you do, then you're just not going to see the results of Jupiter that much. So it's not about bypassing your emotional landscape in order to get more money or to, achieve what you're wanting to achieve. It's more about how do we look at that and really make a decision based off of our own sense of emotional, our own emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? Our own emotional foundations. Like really making sure that whatever leap of faith we're taking is based off of our own emotional foundations really, really being strong. And with the fact that you guys have had a lot of planets in your 4th house, including Saturn for a long time, which Saturn will come back here, I feel like you've been working a lot on this deep emotional foundation. So this is kind of, this is good that you've kind of built that foundation, and now Jupiter's asking for you to make an informed decision within relationships and with whoever you have shared resources with to take this leap of faith and jump into prosperity. Now, immediately, Saturn is going to be squaring this Jupiter from your 5th house. And I talked about this more in the first video that I did, but Saturn squaring Jupiter from your 5th is just going to maybe put some pressure to make sure that whatever you're doing with that leap of faith, that prosperity that you're wanting to bring within shared resources, meaning, other people's money. With Jupiter going into 8th, it could mean like your partner is making a lot of money and you guys have shared resources, or you get an inheritance. This is like a big position for having some sort of money coming to you that you didn't earn by working. So, inheritance or a settlement or an insurance payout or something like that. And yet Saturn is going to be putting pressure on this from your 5th house to make sure that whatever you are wanting to expand upon with Jupiter in the 8th is coming from a place of alignment within your self-expression and who you are, and from a sense of deep responsibility over what energy you're bringing into that bond, into that relationship. So it's kind of similar to what I was saying about like the emotional foundations, but the 5th house is like your inner child and your self-expression and joy and entertainment and pleasure. So not sacrifice, like how do we expand within our emotional realm and our emotional partnerships without losing a sense of self? Right? So if you're doing it because your partner wants to, or because you feel like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but it has really great benefits to getting married or getting divorced or whatever it is, and kind of joining up or working with somebody else in order to create like a joint partnership in financial resources. If you're abandoning yourself in order to do it, Saturn's not going to really let that slide. So this kind of push and pull energy, this friction is like, who am I versus who am I when I merge with the other? And how can I find the balance of taking responsibility over myself while allowing this expansion to occur within an intimate bond or within like a partner, or a business partner, or someone that I share resources with? I just feel like for a lot of you guys though, because Jupiter rules your 7th house, this is going to be a lot about relationships And Jupiter also rules your fourth, so it's going to be about relationships in the home as well. So your family, and any one-on-one partnerships. I feel like this is more that than financial. But the financial aspect that I could see for a lot of you guys is, like I said, some sort of settlement, some sort of money coming in that's not yours, being able to get a loan that you didn't think you were able to be able to get, or something like that over this next year. But with the month of June bringing that Saturn square, it might kind of halt things until you can find that alignment within yourself and make sure that you're doing things with that alignment and for the right reason. So Sagittarius, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. If you want to work one-on-one with me, I'll have the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. My beautiful Capricorn sun, moon, and rising. This is kind of a big one for you guys because you guys are one of the cardinal signs, and Jupiter is moving into a cardinal sign in your 7th house. So your 7th house is about other people. It's about your relationships, your interpersonal dynamics and skills, contracts, business contracts. And this is beautiful because Jupiter coming here means that one of two things. You could be bringing in Jupiterian people into your life. So optimistic people, joyful people, expansive people into your life that can help you grow. And it's also asking that you do this from a sense of taking ownership over your own energy that you're bringing into relationships and your interpersonal relating skills as well. Now, Mars was here from around September of 2024 to April of 2025. So you guys had this really intense learning process of dealing with other people. Maybe there were combative people in your energy for a really long time, or you were having to learn a lot about how you fight with others, conflict in relationships. And if you did the deep work that is necessary for that, then you are in for the blessings of Jupiter here. Jupiter is going to say, yes, you did the hard work. Now you have to take some sort of leap of faith. So for some of you guys, just kind of very similar to Jupiter in the 8th for the Sagittarius, for some of you guys, this could be like marriage. This could be, if you're with a partner who you believe is going to be expansive in your life and bring you prosperity and joy, and obviously you love them and all those things, this could look like marriage. And also, it could be the opposite, right? If you feel like you're with someone who's kind of holding you back, there could be a divorce. There could be something letting go of. Generally, Jupiter will kind of inflate whatever is going on there and expand upon it. So just make sure that you are, and with Saturn squaring this from your 4th house, this is going to be extra true for you guys. And I talk about this Jupiter-Saturn square more in my first Jupiter and Cancer video, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already. But what Jupiter's not going to let you do I guess you could say that what Saturn's not going to let you do is expand upon your personal relationships, your one-on-one partnerships. If you're not taking full responsibility for your emotional foundations, the emotional woundings that you've had possibly growing up or with your parents, specifically with a parent that is or was more authoritarian. So it could be either your mom or your dad. If you're still dealing with those wounds and you're not taking responsibility and accountability over them, and you're staying in a victim mindset, especially because Saturn is your guys' ruler in the 4th, there is a lot of emphasis in clearing this up and taking full responsibility in the home life, whether that means your childhood home or your current home. So you could even be feeling like you're having to take on more responsibility in your current home life, and feeling the pressures of that. And Saturn in the 4th is saying, yes, this is true. And unless you're taking care of that, the Jupiter influence in your 7th house is going to be a lot more difficult to have that expansion for. And so if you're just expecting someone to just come into your life and just make it all better and bring you purpose and truth and meaning without taking accountability over your own sense of emotional well-being, then you're probably going to be slightly disappointed, okay? But the month of June is going to kind of dampen that Jupiterian energy, which may or may not be a good thing, which I talked about more in that first video I talked about. Now, for you guys, Jupiter rules your 3rd and 12th house. So once again, are you bringing in old subconscious patterns into your relationships? Are you bringing in this outdated mindset into your relationships? And if you are, then Jupiter's going to bring that into the forefront through possibly another person, reflecting back to you that you're doing these old things again. But you could also be really forming this like deep spiritual bond with a partner as well. And this could be really beautiful. This could be like a really truly like some sort of a soulmate relationship, some sort of a soulmate connection. And this could be someone new, sure, or it could be an established bond that is going through some sort of expansive transit. And so through that, you're discovering that, you know, maybe through shared skills, maybe you guys like take a class together, or you start meditating together, or you start doing something together like that, that brings you even closer, and you just are able to have this like really soul level connection with somebody. So this is wonderful, Capricorns. Let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you'd like to do a one-on-one session with me, I'll have the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. My wonderful Aquarius sun, moon, and rising. You guys have Jupiter going into your 6th house. Your 6th house is about work. It's about responsibility, conflict, unequal partnerships. So where, you know, you're above somebody or somebody else is above you. This is about your pets, illnesses. This is about daily routines and responsibilities that you have. Your sense of what it means to truly serve, to be of service. What do I want to be of service for? So when Jupiter comes here, there's an expansion here. There's blessings, prosperity. This is your work environment too, right? This is your work. So there could be an increase in workload, or there could be that your work environment is being infused with this positivity. And this is really welcome because you guys had Mars in the 6th house from September of 2024 till April of 2025. So there was a lot of work that you guys possibly did here. There was a lot of maybe conflict or strife or difficulty, and maybe you had to move to a different work environment. Like maybe you had to cut ties with one job and go to another because it was so difficult. And Jupiter is going to bless you with the fruits of your labor. But still, Jupiter requires some sort of a leap of faith. So maybe if you are still in that environment that has a lot of conflict, or that you feel like does not fit and they're not supportive of you, Jupiter may ask you to take a leap of faith over the next year until June 2026 into a more aligned situation. And this then in turn could bring the blessings, prosperity, expansion of Jupiter there. Now, I talked about in the first video I did about Jupiter and Cancer that sometimes Jupiter and Cancer will kind of have us ignoring some deep emotional wounds or some core emotional issues in our emotional landscape in order to just kind of expand someplace. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on that as well, so that you're not just jumping into something new without recognizing, like, what are the emotions underlying this change that I'm making? Am I just kind of, you know, am I taking this leap of faith to run away from something? Or am I doing it because I've sat with my emotional body and I know that this is the next step? Now, immediately, Saturn is going to be squaring this from your guys' 3rd house. So you could have some real mindset blocks. Like there could be, or someone in your immediate surrounding could be really critical of this decision that you're trying to make. I could sense that maybe, like, because the 3rd house is your neighbors, siblings, cousins, but it's really your immediate environment. So someone in your immediate environment could be kind of playing this authoritarian role, and maybe even like, you know, maybe it's like a voice in your head from the past, and maybe they're not even in your life anymore, but they've kind of ingrained this mindset in you that you can't do that because you can't take that leap of faith. You can't do that thing because you have to be more responsible, or it doesn't make sense, and what's the logic? And so maybe you're kind of grappling with that, especially in the month of June with this Jupiter-Saturn square. This is the 3rd one, as I mentioned in the first part of the video, or in the Jupiter and Cancer video. I think I mentioned the first part of this video as well. So kind of having to balance this out. And, you know, I'm really big into parts work, and this is something I do with a lot of my clients, is like when we have these opposing situations, we can kind of lean into what are the parts saying about this, and how do we bring those parts together to have a conversation where both feel seen and heard. Because if we're bypassing that either part, it's going to come back later because we're fragmenting again. And we all fragment. That's what we do as humans as we grow up, and we kind of reject certain things from our consciousness and from our thoughts, and we take on others. And then later on, as we go through life, we're like, why am I so conflicted? Well, because you have different parts of you that are not really working together, and they're fighting against each other. And it's very, very possible to have them be able to have conversations with one another. That's a tangent, but I felt like it was important for some of you guys to hear that. This is a general reading, so some of you guys may already know all that stuff. But yeah, there's something in your immediate environment, or maybe you're wanting to step into this new skill, this new job, this new work environment, but you don't have the skills to do it on your own. So maybe Saturn's saying, hey, you got to learn some skills. Maybe if you're going from a place of like working for somebody to working by yourself, that's just an example. Saturn is like, okay, but do you have the skills to run a business? Like, do you know how to do that? Because that's a very different thing. As someone who recently transitioned into that, it's a very different world. And so like, do you have the skills? Like, you need to get really serious about your day to day in order to have this expansion that you're desiring with your work life. Yes. Okay. So Jupiter for you guys rules your 2nd and 11th house. So all of that stuff going into your 2nd means that, yeah, I honestly feel like for a lot of you guys, obviously, once again, general reading, I feel like for a lot of you guys, there is Jupiter. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something. You're going to have to put some money towards your work. And maybe this is in order to accrue more skills that I was talking about. Or maybe if you're like, you know, okay, I'm just using this example again. It's like maybe if you're going into your business, it's like, well, you're going to have to put money towards that, right? Like you're gonna have to get your own space or whatever it is. And then for a lot of you guys, it's like the 11th house ruler going to the 6th is like, how do we take this broader vision that we have into our life and bring it down into the mundane so that we can actually work on it, right? And then for a lot of you guys, it could be like if you're in a situation where you're unhappy when it comes to work, or you have health issues as well. This is this house of like health issues and illness. You may be having to put more money towards figuring those things out. By the way, if you do have chronic health issues, that's one of my passions to help people with. So just putting that out there, because if you know my history, I've had a lot of chronic health issues. So, but regardless, you may have to put some money towards your health. You may have to put money towards your illness, and make sure that you're not overworking, because Jupiter in the 6th can really expand what you believe you're here to do, and can create a lot of work for yourself and then create some sort of burnout. So be really wary of that during this time. And yeah. So Aquarius, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps out my channel. And if you would like to work with me, I'll have the link in the description down below. I will see you guys next time. Last and definitely not least, my Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have Jupiter going into your 5th house. Now, luckily for you guys, this is a fellow water sign. So this is trine your sign. It's going to be really nice for you. But also sometimes with the trines, we tend to not take advantage because we don't feel as much pressure, right? So be very aware of this beautiful energy that's trying to help you out. Well, what's the 5th house? Jupiter being in the 5th house is expanding upon your sense of self-expression, creative projects, especially if you have any businesses with creative projects, your sense of pleasure, entertainment, and joy, your inner child as well. The 5th house is romance and love too. So there's a sense that all of these things are wanting to expand. They're wanting to bring more prosperity to you, more joy, more optimism here. So maybe you've had like a really hard, like romantic life or love life, and Jupiter here is wanting to bring more expansion here. Or maybe your creative drive or your creative business has not been doing as well as you'd like, and Jupiter wants to expand it here. The thing about Jupiter, and I talk about this a lot more in my first Jupiter in Cancer video, which I highly recommend you guys watch because you're ruled by Jupiter, right? So Jupiter is one of your rulers. So this movement is very important for you. And I talk a lot about Jupiter in that video. But yeah, so there is a sense that like Jupiter wants to expand here, but he's going to also require that you take a leap of faith. And you guys are kind of good at doing this. And it just depends. Like I know a lot of Pisces, and you kind of fall on like two sides of the spectrum where there are some, I don't know, I feel like most of you guys are actually like quite at ease with taking risks, more so than other people, because I feel like you guys have that Jupiterian impulse to know that you are held in some way, that the universe is like working for your favor. But then I also do know less Pisces who get kind of like really scared of doing that, and they kind of really stay in their shell more, and they do the more tried and true path, even if their heart isn't really in it. But most of the Pisces I know are generally very expansive, which is why I love you guys. And also, which is why we need to make sure that we are listening to Saturn's impulse from the second house for you guys in Aries with the Saturn-Jupiter square, which I talked about in that video as well. Saturn in the second house is like, oh, okay, you want to expand your self-expression and creativity and your creative hobbies or business, but what about the money? And what about the money though? So for some of you guys, this could be like Saturn really putting pressure on you guys financially and being like, but can you actually take that risk? And so this may be a really good thing for you guys, honestly, because like I said, most of you guys are generally more at ease with like taking that leap of faith, which is totally amazing. And maybe for some of you guys, you've done that in the past in a way that's not financially feasible. You know, I have a Sagittarius moon, and I feel very similar in a lot of ways, obviously not the same ways, with my Pisces people, in that we like really feel this desire to take these risks because we just know that we have to go into the unknown, but we are often need more help being grounded. So like if you don't have a lot of earth in your chart as a Pisces, you can kind of take these leaps and then it doesn't work out and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Saturn the second is like, yeah, let's keep you grounded a little bit so that whatever leap you're taking has more of a chance of working out for you in your favor, right? And a lot of Piscean people deal better with things not working out than others. But yeah, I feel like Jupiterian people, especially in certain decans, tend to really kind of take that leap because there's so much ethereal in us that and I have a lot of 12th house placements too, so I kind of like feel that with the Piscean vibe, is that we forget that like this earthly realm also needs our attention sometimes. So if that resonates for you, then Saturn is there, like can you afford to do this? And if you can't, like let's work on a budget to get you there, you know, like it's about getting serious and taking responsibility. On the other hand, if it's not financial, Saturn the second is going to have you feeling like, are you really worthy of taking this leap into your creative self-expression? It's going to make you feel like, am I worthy? Do I have the self-esteem to be able to believe that I deserve to live this life of joy, of the fifth house, of pleasure, of entertainment, to do what I love in this world, whether that's business or just to have fun, you know, like, do I believe that I'm worthy of having all that? And that's kind of where the work can come in there. Now, obviously for you guys, Jupiter rules you and also rules your 10th house. So like, that's why I'm getting this sense that for a lot of you guys, this is obviously general reading, this does have to do about work. This does have to do about career, public status, reputation. There is this sense that you are feeling like you want your career to be more joyful. You want your identity, your expression to be more about you and how you want to express yourself rather than maybe what other people want you to express yourself as. And so Saturn in the second is going to be like, okay, and can you have enough self-worth and self-esteem to put yourself out there in a way that other people may not be accepting of around you? And I see this as being a really, really positive and fruitful transit for you guys, especially if you're willing to do that emotional work to look at like what is keeping you from expressing yourself. And maybe this has something to do with childhood, right? Because the fifth house is your inner child. Like maybe working with that inner child to see like, do you believe you're worthy of having this life of self-expression and pleasure? Do you believe that your career can be joyful and it can be something that is meaningful to you? So Pisces, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have the link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.